his hearing, I think, his hearing at that time, he was starting to lose his hearing. He might have felt that if he kept playing, he'd go totally deaf. I know he pulled me aside once at Pinewood, and he said, "Jeff, you have to stop asking us to play live. I know you want to make the film, a certain way, and I know you're doing it for our fans and all that, but, to me, it's Pavlovian. It's, I'm like one of Pavlov's dogs. I get a taste of blood. I hit the stage. I taste that blood. I don't want to stop again. I have to stop myself from doing it before it happens." And then he did it anyway. I think everybody was in a bad mood. It started off on the wrong foot. To be honest, I don't remember. It was probably so traumatic I've blacked out on it. I know in the film there's only two little bits and pieces. There's the comment Pete makes about any loudmouth little git out there that wants to come take his guitar off of him and all that. So that was kind of the prevailing mood of the night. And then, there's a little clip in our final, closing credits where they come up into the dressing room and all start throwing things and slamming the door to the dressing room and so on. It was an unhappy experience. I remember that. And of course, a disaster for me. I mean, I'd been begging them to do this gig and they finally do it, and it's, it's an abortion. Trying to get the band together for a meeting. I mean, I think we have a representation of one of their meetings in the film, where they're all sitting around that table. Pete's talking about them becoming a circus act or whatever. I mean, the idea, can you imagine getting all of them in a room for like a board meeting or whatever? I mean, trying to, lobby them to do anything. I would definitely do it on an individual by individual basis. I would think I'd say, Pete, Keith, we'll do it if you do it. And then I'd say, Keith, Pete said he'd do it. And Roger, Pete and Keith said they'd do it. And John would always go along pretty much, I think, with the group decision. It was, again, probably some kind of manipulation, subtle. I had to get the job done. Again, I so desperately needed, the Who's Next footage, and to do some, new footage, show what the band was like at that particular point in time, and also to get something that we controlled the footage. It was so frustrating always editing other people's material. It wasn't an ego thing, it was more of a practical thing, like, God, I'd like to see more of the Ox, or, why isn't anybody ever on Keith for any of his fills, or, why can't anybody backlight Roger, so he looks like the rock god he is, and why is Pete's, all his shit always off camera, So I just wanted to have a go at it, I think, more than anything. I wanted to be more in control of the footage so we would get what we needed. They go on, they do a show, Bob O'Reilly, boom, it's great, opening number. Pete tries to decapitate me by throwing the tambourine at my head. Anyway, Won't Get Fooled Again, they do it, it's over. I thought, kind of just ends. John, who was watching this for the making of the DVD stuff, said they're actually having a coffee break or something on stage at the end of it. Anyway, I was like out of my mind thinking, oh my God, I finally got them to do Won't Get Fooled Again, and the end is lame. No other word for it. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to beg them to do it again. How am I going to do this? Anyway, I go backstage and I ask Keith first, because he was always an ally, and I said, Keith, I really need you guys to do Won't Get Fooled Again. And I promise I'll make you look like the God of Thunder, because he was like kind of, done it. It was over. I said, please, please. He said, I'll do it if Pete does it. So I go over to Pete. And I thought, oh my God, I'm doomed. He never goes back when he's done. But I thought, Pete, I need a definitive end for Won't Get Fooled Again. I need a definitive end for the movie. I just can't let it end like this. And he looks at me and goes, a definitive end? I mean, what would you like me to do? Would you like me to go out and fall asleep on stage while playing? Perhaps you'd like me to die doing my last solo. Or maybe I should hit that motherfucker over the head with me guitar who keeps yelling, Magic Bus! I thought, yeah, something like that. And they went out, and you see it as it ended. And, you know, thank God they did it. So. One of the great moments of the experience of doing The Kids Right was the opening, the very first opening of the film in New York City. First of all, I was leaving the Plaza Hotel with my parents to see the movie, and Muhammad Ali was outside, so I got to shake his hand. There's like the champ, you know, and I'm on the way to my movie. And it was at the Plaza Cinema on 58th Street, right off of Fifth Avenue. When we got to Fifth Avenue, there's a line around the block. And I thought, this can't possibly be for my movie, but it wasn't your typical Fifth Avenue crowd either. So I thought, oh my God, this kind of life form, they must be Who fans, you know. And we walk around the block, and sure enough, it's the line for the movie all the way around the block. And I know we go inside. It's a mob scene outside. We go in, we're watching the movie, and I remember it's like Publicist or whatever from New World, the company that released the film, comes up and goes, Jeff, they're destroying the theater. You know, there's all kinds of vandalism taking place. What should we do? What should we do? And I, you know, even then I knew the right answer. Call the press. You know, so apparently that night there was $15,000 within those days. It was a lot of money. $15,000 worth of damage to the theater. Somebody who had been turned away went to a nearby construction site and took some rebar and was whacking the marquee, actually busted up the theater marquee. They totally trashed the men's room, tearing out urinals, whatever. People were dancing on the proscenium, you know, where the screen was. It was absolutely riotous. It was the way it should be. I thought, oh my God, maybe I made the right movie. I know one of my other favorite stories was, I know they held a projectionist hostage in Paramus, New Jersey, because he wasn't playing the film loud enough. There was a hostage situation. It got very tribal. It was always meant to be an audience participation film, so I think I succeeded in that. I think it's still an audience participation film.
What happened in London?
And now you can watch it in the comfort of your own home.
And wreck your own home.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, kids, don't try this at home, but try it at home. Well, again, I mean, when you work with people, you know, under those kind of circumstances, all the craziness, what was going on in the band and what was going on in music with the punk movement and what was going on in England with all the politics and the turmoil. And just any time, you know, one is in the middle of a project of this enormity, whether it's a film or a record, I suppose, or anything, you know, you're always going to go through a lot of changes, you know, and your relationships are going to evolve, you know. When you get to know your idols, I mean, this is what Pete warned me about. Sometimes when you can, you know, look behind the public persona, you know, there might be, you know, things that are best kept hidden. Do you know what I mean? But I never ended up hating The Who. It's ridiculous. I mean, even though he warned me of that, I feel kind of at the end of the thing, I thought I had done my job. I was pleased I did it. More than anything, I was pleased I survived. But I certainly didn't hate them. I'm a Who fan to this day. I still fly the flag, you know, I'm not ashamed. I think I felt more like the monument on the cover of Who's Next.